But then I
5.5%, which works out as
I ran over the border.
20 kilometers.
100 kilometers before I expected. I'm running out of electricity. So he was like, okay, let me stop at a nearby gas station. There is only one plug and that's taken. How long is it going to be taken? For another 2 hours. Okay, I drive another half an hour and then I'm really done. You know, he says. I stopped there. Still not spot. I just called dealership and told them, your car is there. I'm done. Because it was still in this trial period.
Maybe I should move
was one attempt,
move the car somewhere else and run a cable out of a bedroom or something.
It's fine.
I mean,
it's not
I think
warm.
It's fine for now.
Yeah.
If we continue with the workshop,
yes.
then we will
if
all
we
be
could
able
come
to
to
meet
every,
soon.
yeah.
Okay, fine.
Do story time later.
Okay, so we've decided it's a post-conference.
Just a second. For workshops, you cannot do the post-conference. I did in Chengdu workshop, so they have really tight timeline, and that's also a little bit later than regular papers. It's not really much later. It's not really that you can do it after the conference.
But I guess if you do separate proceedings...
It's a separate proceedings, right?
I understand you can't do it because there is one volume of workshop.
But the
Yes.
But no, there's not. Every workshop has individual proceedings.
Separate one,
Yes,
So that gives us the opportunity for a hackathon cannot be written. The paper cannot be written till after the hackathon.
Yeah.
Explain it
So-
to the name I don't want to
April.
mention. You know the...
Yes, no.
Who's going to talk? Who's going to talk?
Yeah, but this is fine. This is a very...
I just didn't want to say the name.
Klaus, you've agreed to do that.
This is look, but this is a very solvable problem. This is essentially just order another set of proceedings with ACM Publishing.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
If SIGMM says no, look, there's another event that has proceedings a month later, then there's going to be another event that has proceedings a month later.
Yeah.
And ACM Publishing, whatever, will charge SIGMM something for that. But SIGMM wanted the hackathon, so
Yes, right.
But let's check it, if it's possible.
It's possible.
we'll just tell them that this is
Did you ever do it?
what needs to happen.
No.
And then it will happen somehow.
I also never did it because I know we were breaking spine
Yeah.
once with Miriam Reddy. I remember in Brisbane, really to get a paper some time, and it was pretty much like regular proceedings. And also last time I did it for Chengdu, it was also. You know.
Yes, but
Yeah,
they're
that's
usually
probably-
only very specific about their dates because they say, okay, no, the thing needs to be published at that point
Yes.
in time. Therefore, you need
We
to
will-
send it in time.
We'll
We say,
probably
"Look,
end
this
up
is
giving them the
published whenever."
dates, and we'll give them a third set of dates for the hackathon publication, and they'll stick to that.
It's possible.
Yeah,
I believe
with
it's
a- with
possible.
a targeted publication date of end of the year or something.
Yes.
And then
It's just impossible to do it any other way. Right, so unless you're on the hackathon 2 months early, and that doesn't make
That's
any
not
sense.
happening.
No.
Doesn't make sense.
Now, we're going to have my understanding is we're going to have a call for hackathon topics
yes.
that are at least somewhat health related. Some of them.
Well, yeah, what we said before was to say it should be data exploration and or data augmentation based on this data set, and then if you want to slant it towards the health thing, in addition to that, fair enough. And this was just going to be the criteria by which this is going to be judged.
Because that's what came out of that workshop, health-based
put that into the
hackathon.
call as like an example
Yeah.
and say
Yeah.
where-
What happens if nobody comes up with a health-based idea? Then we've just done the hackathon as per SIGMM's request from the very senior people in the field. Said, let's do a health-based hackathon. Oh, look, we're doing one on tracking of expressions on faces.
No,
It
yes.
has to be. We
No.
just say,
You cannot
Look,
control what
if
people want to
if
work
people are interested in doing other things with a data set, let people also do other things with a data set.
But then should we not have ourselves
I mean, then-
a health
Yeah,
hackathon?
the thing is, how many people have been at this seniors? I've not been invited. I wouldn't know, right?
About 20.
Yeah. So one of these 20 people are then supposed to propose a
Yeah,
topic.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So now
I
basically-
understand that they're all busy, but one of them.
Well, basically, now you should send back mail to them and say, now we have made this. Now it's your turn to actually assemble a group to work on something, right?
Okay.
So it's their responsibility that something.
And I mean, even most of these people are very senior. They probably have research groups with lots of people, so they can just go to their group and say, you five, you go to the hackathon and work on this, right?
So the catch is, I like that one, and I think it would be. So how the city of Amsterdam did it, and I think those were really nice hackathons. There is not a fake, but a clear need. We have these panoramas, and we use them to monitor problems in a public space, crowdiness, this and that, state of the assets, and but it kind of helps if there are more users, if more departments commit to making something useful out of it. So basically. There is some coordination going on. Chief Technology Office approached them, and people are really interested. Genuinely, I have this process, and if I can cut 2 million per year, it's amazing, So they come there and they think, look, it doesn't have to. It can be vague. I said it already. Like advertisement, public advertisement is just Wild West, So can we get it from panoramas? If the panorama is recorded a few times per month, we can. So do something with that. You don't have to be.
Yeah, but I guess it's a difference in terms of the motivation. If you work with your own data or data from your own organization, or you do something on another data set. So I think here it's probably we're more targeting the research community with this goal than a company saying, oh yeah, this is a kind of a proxy of the problem we are interested in. Because then why wouldn't they provide their own data and do a challenge on that?
So what I wanted to say is then they did have clear interest, it seemed, at AC Multimedia, kind of to come up with a few very signature use cases, test beds and so on. And this is one of them, basically. So we could ask, because they had clear ideas about his agents, for example.
Great. And they should,
that's what I said.
Yes.
They have vested interest because that was the part of that.
Yeah, but it's also research. I think you can't compare it with your example of the end users bringing in interest or someone in the research community being interested. But anyway, they can change the topic.
Yes, so now we did the work, we will facilitate this, and then we play the ball back to them and say, look, if you want concrete topics around this area, then you go and make it happen. We set, we gave you the data, we gave you the framework, we gave you the location, we even ordered the catering, right? And you just show up and make it happen. Or send your people if you don't show up yourself, right?
I was more thinking like, how often are those steering type of meetings?
I'm guessing annually, because this is the first time this particular meeting has happened.
No, but last year, that was not happening before.
It's not a steering committee meeting.
So I was just like thinking, okay, maybe, let's see. But I think people may be interested in a kind of chipping in with some ideas.
Okay, so
Let's see how many topics we
what happens?
I mean, what you can still do if you see that there is few submissions or there is no topics covered, directly approach some people and say that you want to propose a topic for
Yes, I would go to Stefan, maybe you can propose garbage detection or something.
Yeah.
I mean, there is lots of
we worked very hard to
Ali,
make data for you.
Do you want me to? I'll plug it in somewhere else.
Garbage detection.
Switch?
Yes, yeah.
I'm okay.
If you're cold?
I'm not cold, but if you want to switch, I can.
No, I mean just it's because
Like-
you were looking like you were cold.
No, I'm not cold.
If somebody gives me their bedroom,
Let's-
You will drive your car into it.
I want to hang.
Charging was also faster.
I just want to.
the bedroom, I'm gonna go and sleep there.
I just want to hang the wire out the window.
You can put it in my bedroom, no problem. It's
Yeah,
I
no-
already hate
Yeah, you
this
can also use
sustainability.
mine.
Yeah.
Mine is just in front of
Okay,
the
fine.
cover.
I'll move the card and everybody's going to be warm, right?
No, not now.
Push up first.
Yes,
We are
Okay.
not.
gonna finish this,
No
otherwise
3-minute breaks.
this is not gonna...
You know what's
You're
bizarre?
staying here.
You know what's bizarre? We are now helping the planet by charging this with electricity, but we are also cooling the home, so the heating is working harder. So I think we already can.
Oh, don't worry, the building isn't that well insulated anyway.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay, so let me summarize this to say we have decided as some kind of a process to which a hackathon takes place. One of those hackathons will be suggested to senior SIGMM people to be a healthcare one that they figure out based on this data set. Here's details of the data set. Other people can propose hackathons as well.
No.
Well, topics.
Topics for the hackathon.
So the hackathon is based on this data set.
Hackathon is one
Yes.
thing.
Okay,
There
right,
is-
okay.
There is one hackathon.
Yes.
It is going to be, so this particular hackathon is going to use this particular data set.
What happens if there's a second hackathon?
There's no.
What happens if Huawei Dublin come in and say we want to do a hackathon on social media something? Do we go, yes, fine, of course, welcome, let's do it? Will it be seen that we sat
Depends
around
on
the
how
table?
much money they give you.
Okay.
No,
Cost of entry.
It has never happened before, so we do
Yes.
not need to plan for this eventuality.
So this is
But
the.
if it did
basically,
happen,
if they give you enough money, you do.
So
many
this is
things, right?
interesting. I think we could have two models that are also justifiable. So our community, our own community, SIGMM decided to have one hackathon that's based on a real heterogeneous multimedia data and health-based topics. If anybody else would like hackathon, well, you have to fund it somehow through either
Well,
awards and apply so that we can check whether it fits.
I don't see it happening for this year. I guess this may be something for the year after when people see the hackathon
probably.
happening and say
Yes.
next year we'd like
Yeah.
to do something else.
So
I wouldn't care about this topic
Yes,
this
so
year.
given that this never happened before, I don't expect that people will just running in outdoors and say, oh, I want to host another hackathon at your venue. Because the great success of the hackathon that hasn't happened yet inspired me to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't think this is something we need to worry about, and on the off chance that somebody actually comes, then we will figure out what to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
But there's a single hackathon.
Single.
There's a single,
hackathon.
there's the
Many topics, one
CNM
hackathon.
sponsored hackathon around the data set that is
Yeah.
being created at this very moment.
What?
But yes, you're actually on camera, in case you haven't noticed.
But Luca, I have just one request. Because you mentioned also it could be some gaming related topic.
Well,
then
it's
we
more
should
of a
also allow that.
motivation-y kind of thing.
Sorry?
This was more of a motivation-y kind
Motivation,
of thing, right?
yeah, but
as
that's what I
in
told to
make
Matthias
it
also.
playful.
Yeah, but why not? I mean,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
could-
It's more. It's more
I mean, you could.
I was thinking more of gamification than of actual video games. But if somebody wants to make a video game out of this somehow,
You could have
I mean-
animated characters from all of us. You have
yeah,
enough
sure,
data.
if they want to.
Sounds awesome.
Uh-huh.
The enthusiasm.
No,
Okay,
but I mean,
no problem. We
it's
can-
got. I
can
would
discuss this later.
try and set as few constraints as,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
possible, and then just
A
let
workshop.
people run with it.
Yeah.
And just essentially set the bounds that this is actually realistic.
Yeah.
That we think that this has a reasonable chance of succeeding within the parameters we can enable.
Yeah.
But I was just saying that it does not need to be in relation to our data set, right?
No, it should be. In
It should
should
be.
be.
It should be
Yes.
in relation to the data set
okay, okay,
somehow.
You can make. I guess you can make any gamification approach out of it. Like, for example, trying to. I mean, and this could even be health related, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you find. Or you try to mine patterns of incentives for, I don't know, for moving, for drinking less alcohol,
Or-
for whatever, and
or
you
I-
try to make a game out of that.
Yeah.
I guess it should at least be applicable to the data set and demonstrated based on the data set.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even if you have a thing and say I'm gonna do gamified data augmentation that is theoretically
Yeah.
applicable to any video stream,
A good
then
example.
that is great. That
Yeah.
then it is also applicable to this video stream, and you're supposed to
Yeah.
demonstrate that it is, at least among other things,
Okay.
applicable to this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll write an email summarizing all of that. I'll run it by everybody.
I
make su-
wrote some notes. I
Okay,
think
I'll
that's
run it by a
one of
few
the
people then,
exercises.
and I will send it to Alan, Alberto, and Ramesh, who were organising that meeting. I'll say, here's what we came up with.
Yes. And basically, I mean, there was the talk of data augmentation, you know, data visualization or representation. But then you could have kind of orthogonal, say, health would
Yeah,
be one of the
health
things.
is one. Health is going to be figured out anyway. We're going to have to do one health, but there's other ones we can
So
do.
just a
Right.
second, now we diverged. First you said that all solutions, all the work has to be health related.
No,
No,
No.
no, there must be a health related.
yeah, no, it's an option to make health related.
So health is one of the topics of interest.
Yes.
It is
We
the
want
thing
to
we're going to suggest.
encourage having one.
We're going to encourage that
Yes.
this is going to have a health angle. If people really say, no, but I really want to do 40 point cloud Gaussian splattering, whatever, then let them do 40 point cloud Gaussian splattering.
Okay, so we get
whatever
back
is-
and we have a data set and a facilitation process to support.
Yes.
And we can incentivize by saying that one of the awards is gonna go to healthcare related topic, and the rest.
No, I think
No.
if we go with
Just what you do if you just have one healthcare related topic.
it's like a hackathon platform.
If you have a really bad one,
Yeah,
Give them awards later
no.
on.
No.
No, I mean,
Like it could be as simple as recipe book generation, right? That's enough for a healthcare hackathon.
yeah, we're not doing that.
Let's not do that. Taking part is its own reward.
You're
Yes.
not millennial, man. It doesn't concern you.
First of all,
I
of
am.
course,
Okay,
of
so
course I
you're-
am.
Can you give me
Okay, we have the hackathon. I think that's okay. That's moving it along.
Next in the agenda.
Next in the agenda.
Next in the agenda was the thinking beyond, or trying to apply the learnings and all the discussions back to the things we already have, right? So we've been doing LSC, we've been doing VBS for several years now. We have grown the data sets that are used for these benchmarks, and with the new data sets we also have new variations on type of tasks that we can do. Given such a data set as this, and possibly even whatever might come after this, what directions do we foresee in, or what are consequences for these challenges that we foresee, that new opportunities that would open up, and what would we need to do to make that happen?
I mean, clearly one opportunity I see is, I think we all find question answering tasks very interesting, and having especially these complex and aggregating question answering tasks. And for example, on V3C, this is not really possible because of the diversity of things. You can't ask a question across the entire data set unless you have really watched everything. While here you have a closed world and you have certain constraints to know that something has happened or has not happened, and if it has happened, these are the places to check. So you could more easily have these kind of question answering queries that need to draw information from various types of the content.
I mean, yes, specifically for V3C, I could also foresee something that is a variation on a question answering task that essentially says something between question answering and ADS, that you have a find me instances that answer a particular kind of question, as in show me show me examples of, I don't know, complete sequences of preparing food, right?
Sure,
so this would not be a single click, but a find me all the instances
sure.
across various things.
No, but I think especially these kind of aggregation, like the how many times did I fly in this year, which airline did I take? So all these things need like a closed set of data, and I think this is enabled by a data set like this one. And I think these are tasks that are fairly close to practical challenges.
Yeah, but I mean, you could also do some data exploration and analytics and say find me all the people hiking, and then it's not just shots of people hiking, but find me all the actual people. So then you need to cross-reference this, do person identification, things like that, right?
Yeah.
There's another implicit question here, which is, here, up until now, LSC has used a particular type of data and so has VBS. And now we're after going and doing something that's somewhere between both of them. And we're putting it into ACM Multimedia. Does ACM Multimedia stay the home of this new thing? Or does this new thing also go into LSC and VBS, in which case they're all going to be kind of the same?
Yeah.
What do we want to do as a strategy? Is it that the ACM Multimedia Challenge is the video lifelog challenge, the LSE is the stop motion lifelog challenge, and VBS is a large scale video retrieval challenge? What happens if we kind of blend these things together?
Yeah.
What falls? Does LSE or VBS drop aside because now the big one is the one in ACM Multimedia? Or are we happy with that? I don't think we want that necessarily.
I mean, the just logistically, like I think
The effort.
Apart from the effort, I mean, yeah, you can't ask every team to be in everything. As you mentioned, there's already a lot of things going on, and I think I have trouble imagining this event like we have it at MMM and ICMR, where it's a single track thing where the whole conference comes together for this session. I don't see how you scale that to a huge conference like ACM Multimedia.
Yes. And also actually
Or the space.
yesterday we discussed that we should not do a real on-site challenge there. So a real on-site
Yeah, it
competition.
could still happen in future, right?
Yeah, but
For this
I
one,
would,
yes, for the Grand Tour.
But yeah,
So is that enough of a separation then?
so
This is mostly, really it's mostly asynchronous then.
yeah. I mean, it could be like a track with like or
Yeah.
more track with
Okay.
like thing.
Yeah.
right.
TrackFit / NTCR is
I mean,
roughly this
we
asynchronous
can
thing.
still do the interactive thing in the, it's going to happen in a workshop slot, and then see what happens, right? So this is,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
also VBS and LSE had some years to become
True.
established.
Yeah.
I mean, especially VBS is now an integral part of MMM.
Yeah.
Yes.
LSE is technically still a satellite event.
Try to get
Technically
it
still-
integrated
still
more, and
a-
I got
a
pushback.
workshop that technically needs to be approved every year. And
Yes.
some year a workshop chair could
It's-
say no, we're not going to do this. We already did this a bunch of times.
It's possible. Okay.
They would
But-
probably be getting angry emails from people. But
Steering committee, yes. And people on the steering committee, yes. The general chairs and half people at this table who are on the steering committee, yes. But yeah, ACM, my understanding was ACM were not going to be happy if we had guaranteed accepted papers in an ACM proceedings. I know in theory for MMM and VBS, we don't, but we kind of do. We have probably never, well, maybe we have.
We have
We-
rejected.
we
I
have,
guess
but
there have
basically
been very few rejections, but
Yeah.
mostly because people misunderstood the assignments
Yeah.
Okay.
or something
I
that's...
mean, the rule is basically any reasonably understandable description of a system that can, with some shepherding, turn into a readable
So
paper.
maybe
it's accepted.
it's
right?
time to go back to open up that question again for LSC and go, we want this to be an integral part of this conference. That goes back to the steering committee first.
Move LSC to ACM Multimedia.
No, I mean for ICMR, move it into
okay,
like
yeah.
VBS style. Yes, it actually makes a difference, right?
Move it into the main proceeding and just say this is a track.
Yes,
That would be very good. I think.
but that's what I got pushed back on a few years ago, so I can try it again.
And then maybe also integrate the video data set there for the LSC.
Yeah.
Because it fits
It does.
perfectly to it, right? To the VPS it would also fit because it's
Yeah,
video
it's a
type,
track, but that's the interactive side. Then really, that we focus on the asynchronous stuff for this, and the demo is just the
I
synchronous
mean,
side.
it could even, the dataset could possibly even be used in both things, but
Yes.
for different purposes.
Different
Yes.
tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the type of tasks in VBS and LSC are technically, as in how they are implemented,
Similar.
very similar. Semantically, they're
Yeah.
still quite
Yeah.
different.
Yes.
And I mean, to be honest, like if you take, we have a decent share of wedding videos in
Yes.
in the data set. I mean, like a group of people being at a wedding is not so different of us
Yes,
being
yes,
some
absolutely.
days here,
but,
right?
but we've never done anything with it explicitly, right? So
Yeah.
we don't have the wedding subtask.
Yeah,
But
I mean, this is something
Yeah.
we could possibly do for whatever comes after V3C. If there are some directions to say, well, if we will inevitably run out of V3C, probably within 2 years or so. So then we might anyway need to design something else that has new properties for interesting challenges that we foresee for the future.
Do you see VBS being able to have a track for this data set, where somebody can take part but not take part in the VLC data set track?
That definitely can fit to VPS because we
Yeah.
have so many different types
Yeah.
already.
I mean, how would you split the track?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
Do
just
a
thinking.
separate session, then
That's anyway something that is
I don't know the answer, right.
increasingly a problem with VBS. We have seen this year, that we had so many different things going on, so
Yeah.
many different combinations of data sets and task
Yeah.
types, that for every for every single combination there were only very few instances. So the amount
Coffee
of
bus.
data that we actually have, the amount of results, keeps getting smaller and smaller, and it keeps getting increasingly difficult to draw any conclusions
Yeah,
from
yeah.
this.
Right.
So either we cut down on this, or we lean into it. Cutting down would mean we keep the time frame of saying, look, this is a half day actual challenge, so full day event, but there's still some time to everybody getting settled, and then we only have the 6 hours or so to actually do evaluations, and there's only so many tasks, so we need to scope this down. Or we say no, there's going to be tracks, people can sign up for tracks, and then this might be a 2-day thing that runs even possibly in parallel to some of the more of the main conference, because it just needs more time. And then we say explicitly, okay, this type of thing is on first day in the morning, this type of thing is on first day in the afternoon, and then people can decide, do they want to do all of it, do they want to do some of it, but then it becomes more. Right?
And to be honest, even having longer expert sessions in the past years has always been logistic trouble.
Yeah.
With conference starting on Monday, not being able to get the rooms on Sunday, so I find it quite difficult.
I think an alternative version would be to kind of keep the 3C collection as the main collection,
Yes.
and then work with 1 or 2 satellite collections which
I would
could
also
rotate,
agree so.
right?
Yeah.
Because now there's a question of how much more do we learn now from, for example, the medical collection. We know it's extremely hard. Do we need to, or is this now the new side collection that we would go with?
Yeah. So I personally would even prefer using only V3C at VPS in the future, but for question answering tasks, and removing the medical data set maybe again, and removing also the
fish.
MVK again.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a good direction to plan the next generation of challenge data set.
Right.
Because I mean, V3C was primarily designed for TrackWid, so I had quite some discussions with the people behind TrackWid, specifically the ABS track at TrackWid, to see, okay, what is it they would want and need from this. And then it was mostly, oh, we have this new thing, we might as well use it for VBS as well. Given that a new one is coming up within the foreseeable future anyway, we could do some explicit scoping of the requirements and then see what we would need to design for the foreseeable future of properties we already know. And probably by the time we're through with it, it's going to be obsolete anyway, because there's going to be new questions that require new types of data.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And in addition, I think if we have one data set only for VPS, it would definitely simplify everything, or even a barrier to go into the competition
I mean,
for new teams.
it could be just restricting task types. So as you say, maybe keeping
Only
a
QA.
one for QA, and then maybe having visual non-item search still for specific types of data. Right?
Or maybe for LSC. I mean,
So for me, LSE is a lifelong search challenge.
And it should remain that,
Yes,
right?
it should remain a lifelong search
Yes.
challenge.
Less than
It's
the
in
less than the
it's in the
yeah.
name.
We have to keep them separate, right?
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
what we're doing in this conversation is we're saying there's a VBS, there's an LSC,
And that
there's an
one also has a
I4
lower
VP,
barrier to entry.
and there's a POV
even
one.
than the video browser.
Yes.
stuff.
For me, LSC is lifelong challenge.
Yes.
the question is if we would search your videos there. Like
If
these
that,
videos.
then that blurs the difference between LSC and VBS,
Well,
right?
no,
This is not a
because
lifelong.
no,
Yeah.
because semantically,
Like this is a POV challenge, right?
No, because I guess, and I don't want to.
But you're going to.
I'm going to go too much into the philosophical discussion of what a lifelog is, but so far, the lifelog, the notion of what a lifelog is, has been dictated by what type of data was possible to collect and what type of data was possible to be made available for this sort of thing, given the technology that existed at the time of the recording of this lifelog. Right? Because this is also a type of lifelog.
Yes,
it is just something
It's a merging of the two somehow into one.
But his stream would be his lifelog. My stream is my lifelog.
Yes,
I
exactly.
don't think stationary
But
cameras.
No, stationary well,
It could be. I mean,
That's-
stationary camera. It
was
could
just-
be such a thing
Sure,
as
sure.
a multi-perspective lifelog. If you
Fair
say,
enough.
look, for
Yes.
the person one has a lot of stationary cameras in their house and spends a lot of time in their house, and person two spends a lot of time abroad or all over the place and is having a wearable camera, and person three does not have a camera at all, but essentially narrates their audio log and takes a bunch of pictures. All of these things could be different
lifelog, yes.
forms of life logs.
Yeah, this is
Right.
more
This is true.
community lifelog. More
Yes.
group
So
lifelog.
it's still different to what the LSC up until now has done, right?
Yes,
It's
but
been a
And-
single person lifelog.
yes,
But
But
and that's-
is it because this is precisely the challenge that is the best challenge there could be, or is it because this is the task that could be reasonably made
Yes.
available and therefore the best feasible task that could actually be implemented? As in, if there was instrumentation to record many more things, would we want that, or do we say no, we want explicitly image sequence thing because for some
For
reason
the-
this particular thing is
For the
most
LSC challenge, we still do have more multimodal data than anybody actually uses, right? So it's still there. You can still use the heart rates and all those things if you want to use it.
I
We
mean,
just
so
haven't
far
been
there
using
have
it.
been very few questions, very few
Right.
tasks where it would actually be useful.
Yes.
So it's a bit of a chicken and egg
Yes,
thing, right?
exactly.
yes, yes.
Because nobody's processing it.
Yeah, so I would recommend for LSC that we only keep the image-based data set because the entry barrier is much lower
Yes.
for new teams.
For as long as that seems sensible, right? We
Yeah.
keep that.
Yeah.
And maybe at ACM Multimedia, we use this
POV.
video-based data set for this
Yeah.
asynchronous
Yes.
competitions, kind of, yeah. Which not on-site live
Yeah.
competition.
At least for the next year or two. And VBS still uses VLC.
Yes.
Right? And
V3C.
Yeah, V3C.
yeah, whatever. VLC.
VLC is something.
Yeah, it's a player,
Probably
right?
also uses.
But that still manages to keep.
Yes.
It manages to keep the separation between the three different things, right? And that's important unless we just, if we move LSC to use this data set, then LSC ultimately becomes that multimedia thing at right? If you, there's a danger for VBS as well. If you
Yeah.
go into this data set that, oh, why are you doing it twice? Just do it once.
So let's keep their focus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have the focus kept on the data sets, and in 2 years' time or 18 months' time at Cathal 2, we go back and say, well, how successful has this POV thing been?
Yes, but I mean, independently of that, there might I still foresee a future where several years down the line, LSC might have a very different type of data
Absolutely,
set.
and I'd love that,
At
right?
that
Yeah.
point, there might be variable cameras that essentially
Yeah.
do this type of data, but they are small enough that you can clip it to
The
a
fir- yeah.
and wear it all the time.
The first ever lifelog challenge we did at NTCIR was from 3 people for a month each, right? We actually did start off with more people, but just it became more of a headache to keep that going.
Right.
It became 2 people, it became 1 person, right? So,
Is that recording the whole time?
okay, the phone comes.
even the way the tasks are phrased or are conducted have quite some room for design variations. So the motivation behind instant search, known item search, the way I always understood it was I've seen this thing before somewhere at the point in time where I didn't have the chance to actually note anything down or take a picture or anything, and now I want to find it again. And we're trying to simulate this process where you need to inject this memory somehow.
Exactly.
And I mean, we're trying to do some experiments how well this memory injection thing actually represents what we're doing. But we haven't seen a lot of variation on how this is done. So I would actually really propose to say, okay, why don't we have this more conversational style, for example, and say, okay, there's volunteers that are being shown the clips. And then we can see, do they have access to the clip, or they're shown the clip beforehand and then they actually have to remember. And then they're just there and say, okay, I'm going to describe this to you and you can shout questions at me. And then maybe we need to have a not everybody shouting at once kind of mechanism. But this would essentially be a new variant of KISS, which is less predictable, but is inherently more interactive because it is actually back and forth between an intelligent agent, as in a person describing what they remember, and all the people searching for it.
So we should also probably consider that now, and that you have an IR, maybe that's like for them, people are increasingly kind of playing with LLM taking that role. So instead of having these volunteers, you could actually take a very large model, show it the content alongside the ground truth, and actually make it act as some sort of oracle.
Well, you don't need the content alongside the ground. I mean, if you describe a ground truth, I think that there's two things here. One thing is you show it the content, but then you rely on the capabilities of that model doing the visual interpretation, which is a bit dangerous, I think. What I could imagine is you try to write it down and then you could purely rely on the text of looking up things in that particular text, for which I think the LLM would be much more reliable.
I'm not saying there is one way to do that, because people are playing game, what can they do actually?
Given that this is going to be a one-shot interactive thing anyway, I'm much more inclined to actually have a person there.
Yeah, I mean, why not have a person and have an LLM in parallel, just to benchmark that one?
Yes, but we can also do that.
That would be interesting papers later.
But to have I'm going to ask you something strange, because this is how my system happens to work, and the LLM may or may not have ever thought of that. But also this is then a thing of the person. And say, oh well, let me think. Maybe I remember, or maybe I don't. Exactly. I mean, we had this thing, for example, was, well, if I know that my OCR is very good, then I'm going to pay attention to any little piece of text that's on the screen, even though you probably would never have paid attention to this if you just had seen it in the wild. Whereas probably if you actually just show it to a person without priming them to, by the way, I have a very good OCR, they're just not going to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe they do, or maybe they misremember. But then you have the actual...
So you know who would know it? If you provide your paper, like let's say VBS submission to a large model, it could pick up what the components are, probably even better than
No, but the large model does either know or it doesn't, right? So it's not going to pay attention differently based on the papers you prime it. It either has the visual capabilities of extracting this information or it doesn't. And probably something OCR-y is way lower in the semantic hierarchy, so it will have a much easier job of saying, was there any text on the screen? It says, yes, there's all the text I remember seeing on the screen. Whereas, was this shot in Southern Europe? And so, well, how would I know, right?
I mean, and there's really, I mean, we had a summer intern working on video to text this summer, and exactly this point that you mentioned of named places. This is something where we compare different models, and they differ a lot. Some never fix any location, others always give you a location. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. So these things you really see, like, did they have some geo-reference data in the training, or how much of that did they have? But yeah, but I mean, I like this idea, and I think I like it also because it highlights the importance of doing that in the interactive session. This is not something you can do asynchronously. Whether you do it with people or with models, the answers will never be the same. So you have to do that in the interactive challenge.
So it would be reasonably easy to implement.
Yeah.
The only thing that we would need to make sure is that there is some sort of audio-video recording of the event, so we actually have a record of this dialogue that happened. Because otherwise we just put the same thing into trace, and just as a hint you leave it empty, and you have a person there who is instructed to answer these questions, and the system still will know what the ground truth is and will judge accordingly.
Yeah, I guess the question is also like how to design it. Maybe it could be like a panel of people there who do this answering, just to balance memory capabilities of people. Some people being better at visual things, some people better at conceptual things. So maybe having like a panel of 3 people there, and together they answer, and they also have to agree what they answer.
But what is the practical scenario and practical, let's say,
I mean,
research questions?
something like this is much closer to the scenario of you having the memory and needing to investigate a system, or even imagine way back when we had archivists for this sort of thing, that would be the only ones having access to the collection. You walking up to the archivist and say, look, I need this type of footage from way back when, I know I've seen it, and then it's okay, let me help you try to find it. What was it about?
And what you do is you equalize conditions, because we have these cases where we thought about showing people video clips before and then have their memory let it find it.
Right.
But then it depends on the memory capabilities, visual memory capabilities of the individual participant.
Right.
Here you level this for all. You have the same.
Yeah, and I mean,
memory
what
for all.
we could even do is have give the person some visualizer thing or so they can draw things on, or on a whiteboard, on a flip chart, and say, oh yeah, it was sort of like this, and there was this person over there, and there because we also have the differences, especially when for the textual tasks. There's on the one hand the cultural and the knowledge context. So if you say a particular thing, it invokes a different image in my mind than it might invoke in somebody else's. There's also different levels of how visual people are actually thinking. So how much of an image this actually invokes, and probably all of this somehow feeds into the process, and it is very hard to quantify how and to what degree. And we've so far never even attempted this, because it is, how would you even design this? But if you have another person serving as a proxy for this, it at least moves the variability from all the participants to that one person to at least some degree.
Yeah. But then I mean, you're talking about less time pressure to solve this kind of task.
Not necessarily.
No.
I mean, we would probably give it a bit more time, because just the dialogue part takes a bit of time, and not everybody can shout questions at the same time. Right.
But we still see many tasks are solved way ahead of the time limit, so it might get us a more spread field and closer to the time limit. We could just set the maximum time higher, and if we're done, we're done.
Yeah, I'd probably increase the maximum time just to be sure, and then see how much we actually need.
I mean, we've talked about this a few things. Like ideally, you would have infinite working time until the last team submitted, because then you really know a more precise ranking, but for practical reasons we cut off somewhere, right?
You can. I mean, the point is that if there's too much time pressure, people would not be as much inclined to use this.
Yeah,
aspect of
that's
this.
true. That's true. Yeah, I mean that's what we also.
So my worry basically is this: that if everybody's here,
you're right. I mean, I had the experience that I was trying to give hints during the competition and nobody realized it because
they were too busy with something.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Or you could say that we don't accept answers until after a certain time. So you have a free.
That could also
4
be a good
minutes.
point. Yeah.
If you're ready by then, yes, you're one of the.
By the way, you can accept the answers, but you're just not gonna tell people
Right.
if the
if it's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, but then that would guide your questions, right? So.
Yeah, but I mean, people are just gonna shut up once they're
Once they
they're
think
done.
they have it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
But
I mean,
maybe
even if the system, I mean, the race is just going to give you a green thing or a red thing, but it's not going to tell you what it was.
Yeah.
So unless you explicitly wanted to, but in this case we wouldn't. And then you say, oh yeah, team whatever found it based on the answer to that question that you all also heard.
Yeah.
So it's the same information available to everybody.
Yeah.
Somehow, I cannot kind of get rid of the thought that this is already conversation that we have, because what happens on the spot, people are asking and there is a piece of information being revealed, and sometimes you guys are also giving some hints,
Yes, but I have no control over what that information
Yeah,
is. Whereas if you came to me and wanted me to find something for you, I would ask you the things that I would need to know to close the gap between what I have and what you want. Whereas if I say, okay, now I really need to know if it's a landscape or a portrait, and then the next thing you say, oh yeah, by the way, there's a tree in the background.
So can't we make it like this? So then this is good what you say. So teams are working on, conversational, let's say, search task. And then after maybe a minute or two, we allow them, or maybe immediately, kind of once or twice during that time period, to answer some questions. And there are gonna be some questions there popping up from different teams. They can ask maybe one question each. You're not happy about it?
No, go ahead.
Then it gets a game theory aspect, because the questions are answered all at the same time. There's a time limit. The answer to the questions are going to be available to everybody. So then you will, since you want to win this, you will try and ask questions that help you most while revealing as little useful information to everybody else. If you can do that. So the questions are going to be very narrow to the capabilities of your thing, which may or may not be a good representation of.
But can I jump in? Because I think, like, this conversational aspect. I think when we're making tasks, there's kind of an implicit conversation.
Is this VBS they're talking about? I've lost track of because I went down for 2 minutes.
Yes, I think talking about LLM-based, Oracle-based search in general.
Okay, I don't know. I have nothing to add to that conversation.
I think we can leave it here maybe for 10 minutes and then we are ready for lunch.
Yeah, I think we'll have to have a follow up at some stage, because I think we've been talking 15 minutes and.
Yes, some conclusion.
We need to have a conclusion. Because oh no, what? We're not out of milk, are we? We're out of milk.
We used it.
Okay, cream in the coffee. No.
It is in there.
We are now working on a paper for cigarettes, so please don't use this idea.
It's the last milk.
Many other people use the same.
Let them have a conversation. I'm getting a headache anyway. That looks great.
Let's see. I'm sure about the plates. We don't have enough, I think.
Is the dishwasher done?
It's 1 hour. You have only 8 here. Only 8.
Maybe somebody's not hungry. There must be. Look, sick mine in a bowl. Winterfeld. People are getting tired anyway. Stefan has lots of energy.
Yes.
Put it into what, 12? So 3, 3, and 4.
Yes, I think here 3 pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like this. Exactly.
Oh, that's the coffee machine.
Yeah, something like that, exactly.
Then 3.
And then 3 again.
Yeah. So these are the biggest ones, these are the
Yeah,
medium-sized ones. It smells good.
Yeah.
And no meat's probably a really good thing after.
Let's see.
We've got steak later on and salmon.
We will see. So I realized you also brought sheets.
Sheets? Bacon
Yes.
sheets?
No, lasagna sheets here. Because obviously
Oh.
you were concerned that I will not bring them.
Yeah, Jennifer added them into the list. I was surprised I actually bought those because they're like organic brand.
Is it done?
It's done.
Should I bring the plates?
Yes, that's a good
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Bring the plates in and then they realise dinner's ready.
Maybe, yeah. If
Yes.
you can bring them in. So, no, I can search them here. I mean,
Ah, yeah. I'll
Right,
bring
it's easier.
Yes. I guess you.
This smells great. Can I have one of these ones?
of course.
I think all conferences should have the delegates making the food. It's such a nice thing. I didn't cut it properly, right? Do you want the scissors?
It's fine.
Super. Who will I give this to first?
I don't know.
think it's a bit of negotiation, conversation, or maybe it kind of just changed, you know. So whenever I make an exam, there's no
It's just a snack anyway.
Yes. It's perfect.
Kind of crunch.
well, in a notebook there is no error. Last code is very simple to check. Aha, are you sure about that? Yeah, totally sure. You know. And then it's nice. Yeah, but new guy. I don't get it. Why is it not this one? And you know, I start the conversation, and because to that person, you almost solve the question and started like. You could say, I don't want to do it at all, or.
I get what you say.
The conversation is just not stopping. Oh no. Oh! There we go. I can take the bad one.
No, you will.
Cut these. We have 10 people, right? So we have to cut these biggest ones and then leave 2 left. So I would.
So I have
There's 2 spares left.
so
It smells so good.
let's see.
He's talking.
They're not going to stop talking. But we have to do the happy quiz after this.
Bring your mama any questions.
Yes, I can't wait.
Always my mama.
This has been remarkably successful, right?
There is a bottle.
It's okay, we'll use it anyway.
Oh no, it's open now. We have to throw it away. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, hand this to somebody.
All right, you fill the water.
I think I need another.
Here.
Yeah, wait.
No, you can't do it. Just- It's going to fall off the edge this way, right?
Maybe if you can.
Be really.
Ali.
Why are you laughing?
Can you help me, please?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Plates coming. Plates here.
He has one already, so I can't give it to him. This one is gonna be two.
Okay.
Everyone almost has.
Okay.
We need 4 more.
Yes. Woo!
That is very creamy.
It is very creamy, yes. It's supposed to be. We have cream cheese in there also.
Wow, look at that. It's perfect.
But this maybe we need to clean it.
Why are you smelling it? It's too late now.
It smelled now.
Done, almost. I mean, maybe some.
These colors.
I smell this. Okay, I can smell it. One more. 2 more.
Okay. Okay. So.
1 more.
Yeah.
We need to talk about LSC too.
We're going to have dinner. LSC topics aren't going to change that much.
I actually want to split the QA task into subtasks.
Into direct QA and
No, because they have I don't know. Like,
yes, but you're now an organizer of LSC, so you can do this.
yeah. But you're making the. I haven't seen the later set.
It's the same as the other one, just bigger.
You should absolutely. With Hongi, we are already building this thing. I don't guarantee how it's going to end up.
For text, for
Okay,
video,
then I
for
think we
what?
have everyone.
For
Yes.
image and video.